Dirk Vanderhart as well, OPB.
Hey, Dirk.
Hey, Sarah. Nate at K2, can I record as well?
Hey, I got this.
Okay.
Aaron's match with Willamette Week. Is it possible for us to record?
So much.
Hey, Aaron. Oh, reunion. The senator says that he is waiting, so I need to make sure he's on the right one.
Hey, Suzanne, Jeff Manning here with the Oregonian. How you doing?
Hey, Jeff. Okay, the senator will be joining us in a moment.
Sarah, it's John at KGW. Can you turn on my recording?
Where are you at, John? Allow to record. Okay.
Okay, thanks.
Will suggest that
Same for me, Sarah. Dana.
Not met some of those moments in the past.
This is Jeff Merkley.
Hey, Senator, you are on with a bunch of Oregon media. If everybody could please mute themselves. Senator, you can dive right in.
Okay, well, greetings, everyone. Just a few comments. We're in a very extraordinary situation with the Trump demonstration having turned into an assault on the Capitol. As you all know better than I do, because you have more information from various feeds, the protesters did reach the halls of the Capitol. They did reach the Senate chamber. They reached the House chamber. We are safe. Senators were ushered to an undisclosed, secure location. So I can give you no information on that other than to say we're safe. The police are reestablishing control of the Capitol. And I think that this situation is the result of really what has been the failure to have a strong bipartisan pushback to the lies and conspiracy theories promoted by the President of the United States since the November 3rd election. Much of America has seen from what Trump describes as Trump media, a story that is completely apart from reality. And as a result, people across the nation came to the Capitol infuriated, believing those false stories, those lies, those conspiracies. And this is the result that we have at this moment. The first word we had of what was going on was during about the sixth speech during the debate on the floor of the Senate chamber on the question of whether the votes from Arizona should be accepted or rejected. And so that was the where we were at that moment. The first notice was we heard noises in the hallway. Someone ran in, called for the Senate to be closed, told us to leave the Senate chamber, and then immediately was corrected, said no, stay in the Senate chamber. And we did until we were escorted to a secure location.
Saying that it was his understanding that shots were also fired.
Newswatch 12, can you please mute yourself?
But we are getting just a more complete picture.
Senator, go ahead. Sorry about that.
No, that's fine. I can take any question you might have.
Sorry, Senator, that was just an interruption from background noise. If you could just go ahead and continue telling everybody what happened.
We're getting more information now. Hold on.
We realize that we have nothing to fear for the future except we forget.
I think that's right. Okay, I'm back with you. Is there any question or that anyone might have?
Hi, Senator. This is Dan Tilkin from Coin TV. In a tweet you issued a couple hours ago, you used the coup word. Is that what you think this is a coup attempt?
What I'm referring to is that under the Constitution, the Congress has no role except to count the ballots and to witness it. The Vice President has no role except to be the one who opens the envelopes from the states. And that what the strategy behind this effort was to remove enough votes that Biden would not have a majority in the Electoral College, which under our Constitution would shift the vote to the House of Representatives where each state counts for one vote, and there are more states controlled by Republicans. The plan was to try to install the President Trump into a second term through the congressional action rather than through the vote of the people. That is a coup. This was not the vision of our Constitution.
Dana Haynes from the Portland Tribune. Sir, is your entire staff safe?
One more time, please.
It's Dana Haynes from the Tribune. Is your entire staff safe?
Yes, as far as I'm aware, everyone is safe. I did not have hardly any staff in the Capitol because of COVID, and I've checked on my staff. My staff are safe. Thank you.
Senator, can you?
Go ahead, Heather.
We do have someone who isn't on mute, and I can hear the television. Any other question?
Senator Heather Roberts in Bend. What's the mood in that room where you are with the other senators? And separate question, did you hear any gunshots, any sort of violence while you were evacuating?
We did not hear any gunshots. We heard rumors that shots had been fired, but nobody could confirm that they'd actually seen evidence of that until just moments before I got on this call. Televisions were turned on in the facility we're in, and we heard through the news that a woman has been shot in the chest, but that was the first we'd heard of that. So we're kind of learning information now through watching our valued fourth estate tell us what's going on.
Can you just elaborate a little bit more about how you were feeling and what was going through your mind as this was all unfolding really quickly, Senator?
Well, yes. When the first individuals rushed into the room, nobody runs on the floor of the chamber. Certainly nobody runs up to the dais. Certainly nobody interrupts a speech. So all of that was very, very sudden, very unusual. And because we could hear noises, my assumption, and I think all of our assumption, is that protesters had entered the building. I mean, that just seemed like the automatic response. And at the moment the vice president was rushed off the floor, the instructions were given to leave the chamber and then immediately corrected to stay in the chamber. There was a sense that, yes, this is all about protesters. I think many of us are aware that protesters could be carrying arms, so there was certainly concern that there could be shooting, that there could be a breach of the chamber. The Sergeant-at-Arms team and the Capitol Police were working to get the doors locked, to basically lock us in. There was a lot of confusion over where the keys were and how to lock the doors, and doors in the press gallery up above, so on and so forth, things of this nature. It's a strange feeling to be locked in a room that you know is not really designed to be secure when there are angry people outside. So there was just kind of a lot of folks starting to check their through their cell phones information to try to find out what was going on, because we had been just immersed in a very unusual debate, and we were all there in the chamber listening to each other, which is so rare for the Senate, and each senator was limited to 5 minutes. We had a very powerful initial speech by Mitch McConnell speaking to his vision of the Constitution, and it was a speech that could have been delivered by someone of either party in defense of our constitutional responsibility. It was very, very well written and very well delivered. Certainly captured many of my views of the situation we're in at this moment. And we had about 6 speeches going back and forth. Chuck Schumer had spoken, Ted Cruz had spoken, Amy Klobuchar had spoken, James had spoken, Langford, Kirsten Sinema representing the facts from Arizona. And it was a somewhere about then, at that moment, that the chaos began. I did look around the room to think if somebody does burst in with a gun, what do you do? Hit the floor? I mean, the thoughts like that were going through people's heads, because it wasn't as if we were there in that chamber, trapped in that chamber.
Hey, Senator, this is Dirk Vanderhart at OPB. I just wonder if, given all the tensions leading up to today, are you surprised that protesters were sort of so easily able to enter the building and now apparently storming through both chambers? Does that surprise you that it was that easy?
Absolutely, absolutely. Because of the type of protests that had been planned, the length that had been planned, the type of essentially calls to come and stop the process of electing Joe Biden on today. A lot of those calls were wrapped in patriotic fervor. They were so wrong-headed because they were based on lies and conspiracy theories, but lies and conspiracy theories promoted by a huge range of the communications systems in America, the talk radio stations, cable television, the president using his bully pulpit and getting covered in media. So that type of fervor and that type of belief that people were coming to interrupt the process, we should have been very, very prepared for in ways that we weren't.
So, Senator, how much blame do you place on your fellow members, your fellow senators, who maybe did not more actively kind of discourage and speak out against the conspiracy theories and lies before today?
The way I think about where we are right now is when I envision a mob gathering that is being fed bad information, and local leaders know that mob's getting bad information, but it's kind of popular information, and so they decide not to speak up. And because they don't speak up and bring the right facts, the mob grows stronger and more powerful. And then the local leaders see how strong the mob is, and they're afraid of it, and they're unwilling to intervene on the side of truth. They're unwilling to strike down the bad information, the lies that are being circulated. And then the mob starts to move towards some objective. What are they going to do? They're going to go with some mission, tear down some building or set something on fire. And now the local leaders say, you know, this mob, look, all these people who have this feeling, we should listen to them. And that's what we heard on the floor of the Senate today. We heard we should listen to the mob. And that's why we should stop the election of Joe Biden, because so many people believe that something has gone wrong. And that is exactly the wrong position to take. The position should have been the position of correcting the misinformation, the lies, the conspiracies, not to say, well, look, now so many people believe them that we need to join them in their effort. That's what we saw on the floor of the Senate today. And I think it's information that many should struggle with and think about as we go down the road. The need when people in places of influence, like the President of the United States certainly, start to completely put out myths to try to divide the people against themselves. All of us have a responsibility to stand up and do all we can to correct that and end that information and put things back on track.
Senator, this is Andrew Selsky with AP. I'm glad you're well, and sorry if you mentioned this earlier. I dialed in a little bit late. But it just seems shocking that there wasn't adequate security there. Is this something that you're going to insist be investigated, the lack of preparation to secure the Capitol from what precisely happened today?
Well, I can tell you that everyone will want to know what went wrong and how to prevent it from happening again. I've certainly heard people here where I'm located right now on both sides of the aisle saying, wow, this is a colossal failure of preparation, and we will need to come to understand what went wrong. Today, however, I want to thank all of those on the police force who responded to keep us safe, who obviously were circumstances that they saw quickly overwhelm the initial protocols that they utilized for security. People didn't wait politely in lines to come through metal detectors. They just stormed the building, and it did overwhelm the police, but then they responded with every possible way to figure out a plan to keep us safe, to get us to a place where we'd be more protected. So a huge thanks to the Capitol Police Force for what they did today. There will be another day in the future in which it can all be analyzed as to how we can better prepare in such a situation. But it should never have come to this. It should never have come to this.
Senator Nate from K2, when you guys were taken off the Senate floor, was that part of a rehearsed security plan, or was it kind of improvised?
I do not know how much of what we have been going through was part of a plan. It's a plan I've never been briefed on. There's no exercise that we've gone through as senators as to how we should operate in this situation. I'm assuming, because that's the responsibility of the team on Capitol Hill, that they had some plans and we're acting according to it, but I'm not sure. I don't know how much was improvised.
Any other questions?
Yes, Senator, this is Nicole Volkin from the Source Weekly, and I'm curious about what happens next. When is there any talk about when you're going to reconvene? What happens if folks don't show up? Anything along those lines?
There is no talk of any of that right now. Everything is in the mode of the immediate security, keeping people safe, addressing the challenges at hand. I'm sure come tonight, we'll be thinking about how we reconvene it. It's really just, I would love to see us, if we were all in this chamber, and because not everyone is here, some are in other places, I'm sure, but I would love us to be able to proceed just to defy the protesters who were outside, who assaulted the building, to be able to continue. But I'm sure that in the wiser souls will arrange for us to reconvene after all appropriate safety measures have been taken. Whether that will be tonight, I doubt. Whether it will be tomorrow, I hope. But no discussion or insight on that right now.
Senator, this is Yvonne with K2. I'm glad you're safe, and just wondering, what was your first thought when all this went down? Did you think this is it?
Well, my first thought was that there might be a small number of troubling protesters outside the doors. The Senate regularly has some kind of protest. For example, it's not unusual for people in the balcony who have come to disrupt a debate. I've seen that multiple times during the 12 years I've been serving in the Senate. They create a ruckus. They're escorted out. Sometimes they're escorted more forcefully. Sometimes they leave politely. So that was my initial feeling, is there was a small group outside. I had no sense of the scope of it. As it became clear that this was something quite more extraordinary, when suddenly the Capitol Police are working to secure the doors, lock the doors, giving conflicting information in short order, the first to leave the chamber and then to stay in the chamber, it quickly became clear this was not just a few protesters creating a ruckus. This is something far more serious.
Hi, Senator. Glad to hear you're safe. This is Caleb Blade, the Observer. Given that the Electoral College certification is now going to be delayed, do you think it's appropriate for your Republican colleagues to continue their plans to defy the certification of those?
I do not think it's appropriate. We will have, we will complete this debate, and we will vote on the objection on Arizona. Then we will return to the House chamber, whether that's tomorrow or whenever we go back, and we will continue to open the Electoral College sealed envelopes come from the various states, and we'll continue the count. At that point, I hope that all House and Senate members withdraw the objections they have been prepared to make. The debate, recognize this, the debate that we heard today wasn't in sync with the law. That is, the law says that, first, the Constitution gives us no role but to witness, but there is an election law which says that if we believe that a certification of a state's results is improperly certified, or if there is some other problem such as the positions of the electors are inappropriately recorded, something of that nature, that there can be an objection. And it's an effort to make sure that we have the right slate being opened and credited. It's kind of a safety valve written into the law. But no argument was made by those who objected today that anything was improperly certified or that any of the information in the properly certified envelopes was wrong. No, none of that point was made. The point was made was this, that when so many people across the country think that something has gone wrong, we have a responsibility to stop this process. That was the logic. And that's why I use that analogy of a mob, and the local leaders, instead of giving the right information to disperse the mob, egg it on, encourage it, become afraid of it, refuse to stand up to it, and then say, look what so many people think, we must follow their objective. We must follow and take account of their objective. That's what we witnessed today. I hope no House or Senate member will object on another state, because clearly there's no objection that was articulated today that had anything to do with any state's process being inappropriately done.
Okay, folks, any additional questions? Oh,
Yes, this is Dan Tilkin again. Forgive me if you answer this. I was multitasking. There's been calls for people to impeach the president again. It seems a little late in the process, but any thoughts about that type of thing?
Yeah, the president will be gone within days, and we should put all our effort into preparing to partner to make his effort to lead our nation to take on the many issues we face successful. That's where we should put our energy. Those issues are very significant that are before us. It's the investments in the foundations for ordinary families that give families a chance to thrive, which are healthcare and housing and education and a good paying job. It's taking on issues of equal opportunity, the vision we have that we work towards but have never gotten to, that we need to enhance and strengthen. It's repairing our election machinery, which is afflicted by gerrymandering and voter suppression and dark money. And there are problems in our election system. They are not the problems President Trump has articulated, but we have big problems with integrity, with gerrymandering, voter suppression, and dark money. We need to take on climate. And 30 years from now, 60 years from now, 100 years from now, people look back and say, we saw how fast the earth was suffering and changing in a single human lifetime. Why didn't people act boldly? Well, now we have the chance to act boldly. Those are the things we need to be working on. Not a second should be spent on President Trump.
Devin, did you want to ask a question? Is that why you unmuted?
Yes. Senator, we're all glad you're safe, and we're praying for the situation in the Capitol. This is Devin from KGBR 92.7 FM. What effect, if any, do you think Mitch McConnell's speech today had on the sentiments his Republican colleagues in the Senate and House are feeling, and likewise the sentiments of the people on the street and in the Capitol building right now?
I suspect that a lot of people were rethinking whether they should have joined this process, and yet because the process was interrupted, I haven't had a chance to hear from anyone their reflections on that. I think the real test will come as to whether any senator joins an objection on the next state. If we go alphabetically, and so we start with the A's. Well, what happens? Where do we go next? Georgia. Where do we go after that? Michigan. I hope there will be no objection on Georgia. I hope there will be no objection on Michigan or any of those 6 states that, well, the additional 5 states that we will complete Arizona as appropriate as laid down in law for us to vote on the objection. The Senate will not support the objection. The House will definitely not support the objection. Hopefully that will allow the count to proceed with no further objections. I need to check and see what's being said here. Hold on just a minute.
Well, Senator Merkley checks in on what is being said. I don't have Zoom Pro, and so we have about 7.5 minutes before we'll need to wrap up. So heads up if you have any other questions. We'll need to get them done in about 7 minutes.
Sarah, I think I can take one more question, and then I need to hang up.
Okay, one more question, folks.
And Senators, I mean, you've been part of this process before, with presidential elections. Maybe you can describe, what the mood and tone on a day like this is like normally.
I'm sorry, I had a little bit of noise here. Can you ask me again?
Well, I'm just kind of wondering, because you've been through this process before with presidential elections. I'm wondering if you can talk about, what a normal process feels like and what the tone is on the Capitol, on a day like today when you're certifying the election results.
Yes. Yeah, so I have attended the counting before. Not very many senators normally go to witness it. It's such a routine. You open an envelope. There's actually these beautiful brown trunks that all the envelopes from the various states are brought in. They're various sizes. They have different seals on them. It's really kind of a neat moment because it's very symbolic of the peaceful transfer of power. So I've witnessed it once before. I've only gone once, and it was engaging. And this is how the electoral votes actually get delivered. The Constitution says we'll count them. We're counting them. It says the Vice President will open the seals, and then different senators and different House members take turns reading the results out to those who are gathered. I'm not sure if it's always been done like that. That's the way it was done today. And they're tallied up, and that's it. You go through and count them up, and then it's done. It's so routine that most people don't know the process even exists, but it does, and that's what makes this such an unusual and extraordinary day, because this was a very deliberate effort, both procedurally in terms of the objections filed by House and Senate members, and in terms of a mob assaulting the building. We really need to take this moment to reflect on how to strengthen our institutions that have been so damaged over the 4 years of the Trump administration. The systematic biasing of the courts. We have the degradation of the executive office in every possible way. The checks and balances have been badly damaged, with the executive branch unwilling to provide witnesses or documents to Congress to review and make sure the executive was operating in accordance with the laws Congress has passed. The Senate itself functioning very poorly, with virtually no bills on the floor. Mega bills being delivered that you vote on at the last possible second, not knowing what all they contain. Invitation to massively inappropriate actions of things being stuffed into those bills. We need to really take a look at all of our core institutions that comprise our We the People republic and work to improve and strengthen them after they always need work to sustain and maintain. Was it Benjamin Franklin who said, "It's a republic if you can keep it"? I think today those words resonate, that we need to work hard to keep and improve our republic. Thank you all very much. Take care.
Thank you, Senator. Thanks, everyone. I will send everyone the audio recording. Thanks so much, folks.
Thanks, Senator. Thanks, Sarah.
Senator, thank you, Sarah.